Do you see this monster tomato plant here? This is a volunteer, a cross between two heirlooms. Let's take a look. Take a look at this. This is a volunteer tomato plant that came up next to our chicken run. Do you see this monster? It came up really late in the season. We are in October now. I don't know how much time these will have to ripen, but look at how loaded this is. You can see in here, if we take a dive deep down into this plant, these are ripening to kind of this pretty pink color. Those are the chickens in the background, if you're wondering. If you watched my Cross Your Heirlooms video, I'll put it up in the corner here, then you already know I'm a big proponent of letting your heirlooms cross. And this plant here is just further proof as to why. If you've ever had a monster volunteer show up in your yard, leave it in the comments below. We want to hear about it. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you've already subscribed, thank you. I really appreciate you. So in order to understand this plant, I'm going to have to tell you a short little story about a tomato disaster last year. I also started this year with a tomato disaster, and I'll put the card up above there. But last year's tomato disaster was very different from this year's tomato disaster. This year it was just having a sprout failure. Last year was much more devastating. So what happened was I planted about 15 varieties of tomatoes, and I had roughly 50 plants. In May, it was so wet, I almost couldn't get the garden planted. But I got the tomatoes in the ground. Then June hit. June was entirely water-free. It was a drought. We got nothing for all of June. And so I had to water my tomatoes, but for the most part they were trying to pull in as much water as they could because it was a drought. And then July rolled around, and July saw torrential downpours for 2 weeks straight. Now, when July hit, all of those 50 plants were loaded with tomatoes, and I mean completely loaded. Some of them had 20 tomatoes that were ready to go ripe. And then with those torrential downpours, the tomatoes pulled in water very quickly because they'd been struggling to all this time. And long story short, they pulled the water in too fast, and all the tomatoes popped. They just busted all over the place. So if you can imagine what is a disaster that was, having 50 tomato plants and just busted tomatoes everywhere. I mean, I was devastated. I was ready to give up on gardening. Like that was almost the straw. So but long story short, some of those busted tomatoes we took and threw in a compost pile. Some of them we gave to the chickens here, at least while they were still fresh, before they went all rotten and gross. And this is likely one that was thrown to the chickens. And I don't know, maybe a seed made it just outside the coop or something, I don't know. But here we are. And now we have this gargantuan plant. I think it's likely a cross with a pink fang, and a pink fang is a seed I got from Baker Creek. It is a pink paste tomato, and so this is likely a cross between a pink paste and something else, maybe one of the 6 to 8 cherry tomato breeds that I planted last year. But holy cow, like this sucker now is loaded. Unfortunately, it's October, but like take a look at the health of this plant. While all the other tomatoes in the area are dying of blight, this one is strong and healthy and dark green. Of course, it's being fertilized by the chickens, but what an awesome plant. And you better believe I'm going to save seeds. So let's cut this open and see what we've got on the inside here. That's some pretty good thickness in the walls. Let's save some seeds real quick before we give it a taste test. If you're new to saving tomato seeds, it's very simple. All you got to do is put a few of them in a small container, like so. Add a little water, let them ferment for a day or two, and then just dump them out on a paper towel, and then you have your seeds for next year. All right, folks, moment of truth. It's got some good acidity. I would say a good solid tomato flavor. I would 100% plant these again. That's good stuff.